What's good, y'all boys? Today, oh my god, you see a little lag shit? Today we're gonna reacting to how to beat the weeping woman in La Lorana by the one and only Nerd Explains. Let me see the 4 hours, dude. I'm trying to grow my thumb, bro. I ain't even thumb my whole fucking hand. There's no particular reason why I'm just doing it for the fuck of it. It's like fuck it, why not, right? But yeah, anyway, if you're wondering why the quality sometimes I get to cut out a little bit, shitty ass laptop. I don't really have a PC right now, so just please bear with me. And I also have shit on it, so please bear with me. So my bad. I'm doing this from now on because apparently I like my old vids, bro. My fucking mic, you can barely hear me, so I'm just gonna put my mic close to my mouth type shit. Bro, I was watching some Sneeko, like some of his old vids and shit, and like, yo, bro, not gonna lie, bro. Sometimes, bro, basically just want to sit down and talk to y'all, like no bullshit. Like I don't even want to record a video. I just want to talk to y'all sometimes, cause it's like when I was listening to what he was saying, bro, like first of all, that's real deal genuine. That's he should have blew up when he was younger. But but when I watch this video, like damn, bro, like this like I actually want to bro, low key like inspiring. Not even gonna joke, bro, because I'm hearing his shit. I'm like, if you understand what he's saying, bro, and you can somewhat relate or just understand, it's like, man, like man, he may have been one of the greatest. He was supposed to be like maybe one of the greatest YouTubers I've ever seen in my life. Keyword, one of the greatest. Cause he was sitting down talking about some real shit, man. So I fuck with that, bro.
Criminal and the literal ghosts of his
Whoa.
past decided to torment you and your family. What would you do? Natalia has a seriously dark family history. When justice fails to hold her father accountable for his brutal slaying of Mayan descendants in the past civil war, his victims take matters into their own hands, and not in the way that you'd expect. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, how to beat the weeping woman in La Llorona. We start out following an elderly woman, Carmen, and her family, daughter Natalia, granddaughter Sarah, joined in prayer with the rest of their family. They're the family of Enrique Monteverde, a character based on Efrain Rios Montt, a brutal Guatemalan general who committed genocide against the people of Mayan descent. Much like the character Enrique's based on, he too enjoys committing genocide, which is why he's now being tried in court for the brutal murder of 166,000 Mayans and another 40,000 other innocent Guatemalan civilians.
Si el general cae, detrás vamos todos.
We see a group of old war criminals preparing for their respective hearings, pretty much aware that any legitimate criminal sentence would be their last. They hold on to hope they're actually heroes, before parting ways for the night.
¿Por qué la gente habla mal de mi abuelito?
We also see Natalia answering her daughter Sarah's questions about Granddaddy War Criminal, as she's instantly reminded that the internet is a thing, and her daughter's pretty well aware the man's a monster, as I'm assuming she is too. The housekeepers say a prayer for the family they work with, hoping their job stays safe a little while longer. What, you actually expect me to pretend they give a about Enrique and his family? They just want that bag and accommodation. No hate. In the middle of the night, Enrique's awoken by what sounds like a faucet, prompting him to go check things out. With his peace. I respect this move, to be honest, because I could definitely relate to feeling paranoid at times when I hear some random noises coming from other rooms in my house. Checking it out if you're armed and competent isn't always the worst move. After all, you know the layout of the place. However, this is a former general. My guess is he's got a security detail with cameras, weapons, etc., and plenty of people working in and around his property that this thing is a nothing burger. He checks it out, but as he pulls the shower curtain, the water immediately stops running on its own. Maybe it's just me, but if my water turns itself on and then off when I pull the shower curtain with nobody inside the actual shower, I'm calling Father Doug immediately. Apparently, to Enrique, this is normal, so he just double checks the faucet's actually off before proceeding downstairs. He is skeptical, but what I don't understand is not cluing in your security detail immediately instead of checking out by yourself. You have thugs for that, bro. After all the murdering you've done, surely you ought to know that. He walks through the rest of his big mansion room to room, venturing into the kitchen.
Me personally, bro, I'm not living in the mansion myself. That seems scary as fuck. I'm so sorry, bro. You hear random ass noise in that big ass house late at night. You only got a strap, like, even with the strap, I'm sorry, bro, but hell no, man. I'd be scared of my motherfucking mind, bro.
There, Carmen walks in behind him, presumably looking for him, and nearly gets shot right in the face, ducking the bullet at the last second. Talk about luck, holy shit. Their head housekeeper, Valeriana, wrestles Enrique for the gun, while he talks about a weeping woman and goes bat insane, rambling incoherently about how he heard that woman crying.
Bro, if someone's this to give it a gun, punch him right in the temple or the face. Look, I'm playing. I understand. I understand that. Okay, you're shocked because you're in your house. Who the fuck wouldn't be, bro? You're pretty much gonna be jumpy and trigger happy at the first thing you hear or see, because you're on high alert now. But the fact that he's able to conversate and etc., bro, and he's not letting go of the gun, punch him right in his noggin, get that gun away. You're not taking anyone else's life. You already done too much of that.
The security detail, which is apparently just a single lone, albeit built, armed guard, rushes in and gets the gun away from Enrique, who orders him to search all the rooms for a guerrilla spy.
¿Alguien oyó una mujer llorar?
None of the staff claim to have heard the woman crying, so the family brushes it off as just a nightmare, even though Enrique claims he heard something. The staff, who are Kaqchikel natives, the third largest ethnic Mayan group in Guatemala and Mexico, are talking amongst themselves in their own native language, saying she is coming, and that if Enrique heard her close to his ear, it means she's not near yet. When Natalia asks Valeriana about this, she just brushes it off as him getting old, with the old man finally getting disarmed for everyone's safety.
Es el estrés, acelera el Alzheimer.
We learn that the old war criminal has Alzheimer's, which really makes one question why the sweet Guatemalan dictator did nobody think it may be a bad idea to not restrict his access to a miniature personal armory. It literally sounds like this isn't even the first time this has happened. Christ, he could literally mow down the entire house, the bodyguard, staff, and all in a single night if he has an episode bad enough, and by some miracle remembers where his guns are. Whatever.
En ningún otro lugar los van a tratar así.
Shortly thereafter, the families told the servants want to leave. They make the grave mistake of assuming this is just about old man Iglesias having a murder-inducing nightmare, and don't even dig the tiniest bit deeper when told that the servants are afraid. This is an enormous mistake that is going to cost them a lot of grief later. Natalia is trying to persuade them to stay, arguing that they're being treated better than anyone else would even come close to. So if you guys know they're getting above average standards here, why would you not pretty straightforwardly just ask what is freaking them out so much? Had you done that right here and now, you know all about La Llorona, and you could at the very least, even from the most skeptical points of view, do a basic Google search and look out for any clear indication that this is what you're up against. Instead, they just basically tell them all good luck in the real world, millennial, and GTFO to go attend Enrique's hearing.
La violencia llegó de repente. Afuera nos separaron a las mujeres y a los niños de los hombres que quedaban. Algunos logramos escapar a la montaña. Ahí los soldados hacían lo que querían conmigo. Espero que a ustedes no les dé vergüenza hacer justicia.
We're treated to an older woman recounting the events of when Enrique's men came to her village, basically explaining the actual guerrillas fled long before the army actually got there. Then they basically burnt down their homes, livestock, and crops, killed all the men, had their way with the women, just all around basically gave Adolf's boys a run for their money in some of the most messed up ways possible. Not gonna lie, kinda makes me root against this entire family, even if I do understand daughter and granddaughter had nothing to do with it all, but capital. Carmen for that. Your father went through so much bullshit. Like she's not been knowingly married and supporting a literal villain that would make even movie villains blush with the horrible shit he's actually done. Yeah.
Ordenó al ejército de Guatemala.
Yo sé que el juicio que se está llevando es entidad nacional del país.
I've heard that one before, Enrique.
De las víctimas, el 38.
Oh yeah, that's totally what the country needed. We basically hear old Enrique get absolutely nuked with examples of his crimes against humanity before he's convicted of genocide, which makes him all sad.
Fuck his hospital. My boy gone, man. The fuck niggas like little. He's a murderer. What the hell? Get him on.
Natalia tries to help her father, while he almost literally gets murdered by reporters' microphones, showing you the paparazzi is truly the worst threat to his health right now. Or is it? After a quick checkup at the hospital for his excessive coughing, while he's smoking and drinking, YOLO, we cut back to his family.
¿Tú crees que él hizo todas esas cosas?
Viendo más a esas prostitutas que a tu propio padre.
Yo no creo que alguien sea capaz de inventar esas cosas.
How dare you use logic here, Natalia? Clearly, the 1/3 of a certain Mayan race that's gone missing into thin air must just all be one giant conspiracy to entrap your father. Your mother's right. Jesus Christ, I can't wait for Carmen to die a brutal death.
¿De qué lado estás?
Said Hitler, basically. All in all, I'm just glad Natalia has some sense to question this herself, as does her daughter. I just hope they don't wind up caught in the crossfire.
A decir que estás creyéndole todo eso a los comunistas.
Better dead than red, am I right, guys?
Lo que se quedó atrás, está atrás.
Yeah, I don't think it works that way. The verdict is ultimately overruled here because, get this, it's not possible to prove a genocide happened. I don't know, man. The evidence was pretty damn. And the 2/3 of the Ixtal Mayans are probably pretty good witnesses as to what happened to their families and friends, but whatever. The only thing more infuriating than this blatant movie bullshit logic is the fact that in this case, it's actual real-life logic too, as the dictator Enrique's based off of actually managed to get his verdict overturned as well. But there, it was on the basis that he hadn't had all his rights properly respected during the trial process, which allowed them to basically drag the process out long enough until they could eventually argue no sentence would be carried out due to how old and frail the guy had become at this point.
Why they give a fuck how old you is, nigga? The fuck? Unless you got some mental disease up here, bro. And you're still able to actually, never mind, bro. You're old, bro. You're gonna die regardless, so.
Point. Somewhat similarly to how weak Enrique is in the movie. He managed to retire and live out his days, dying of a heart attack before the retrial could ever even conclude. I'd like to think that this movie, since it was written by a Mayan writer-director, is the artistic interpretation of how this dictator should have met his end instead. Anyway, back to the good. Enrique's released from the hospital. The family ultimately makes it to their home, which is absolutely surrounded by protesters. You don't say. The family wades through a load of angry people being held back by a load of cops in full riot gear. I feel safer already. Holy shit, this just making it really hard for me to want to help them. I'm gonna just start calling her Karen instead of Carmen.
Ay, qué sin gracia.
Yup, Karen's fitting.
No quiero estar aquí. Vámonos. Vamos a la casa.
I both agree and disagree here. Of course, there is for now genuinely no reason for them to expect any spooky stuff. From that perspective, getting everyone together and defending them with the help of a load of reinforcements outside, even with a mob of protesters, is probably not a bad idea. Now, considering Natalia is obviously wealthy, I'd argue there's an equally strong case to be made about having her away from her father to protect herself and her daughter's life. She could pile on the dough for some private security, or even something like seals on security with the kind of cash I'm sure they've got access to. There's a much lesser likelihood of having a mob to deal with then as well. Of course, we're about to find out about a whole nother reason why leaving would have been arguably the best play by far, but let's not get ahead of ourselves yet.
¿Oyó a alguien llorar?
No.
Latona, the bodyguard, tells Enrique he did not hear someone crying, similar to what he claimed to have heard in the beginning of the movie. Weird, but still not necessarily something overly alarming by itself yet. A young girl walks toward the house and locks eyes with Enrique. Now that is a death stare right there. I don't think she's a fan, Enrique. We learn that this fan, Alma, is actually their new maid. She lets the head housekeeper, Valeriana, know that she's alone because the others are afraid. I find it absolutely astounding that literally everyone except for the family and Latona seem to all be aware of something freaking everyone out, which they refuse to elaborate on. I guess it is obvious with the mob outside and everything, but still, communicate. Valeriana shows Alma around before the kitchen tap turns on by itself. She also dismisses it like it's nothing. I find this highly alarming, particularly because this is her faith. Meaning, she actually knows about La Llorona, which was confirmed in the earlier scene with the other housekeepers. Let's get into this real quick. La Llorona is a Latin American spirit in various religious mythological folklore tales. There's different variations of the stories around her, going as far back in the recorded future as around the 1500s. Each region within Latin America also has a different version of the story that's most referenced, but generally speaking, it's a woman who had lost her children, by drowning specifically, and hangs out near bodies of water. Some versions of the story claim she was unfaithful and that she drowned her illegitimate child. Others claim she found out her husband was unfaithful and drowned her legitimate children, both of them in a fit of blind rage. In all of these stories, the theme and association with water is always present, as is the sound of a woman crying, as well as calling out for her children in the night. In the Guatemalan variant of the legend, it is also specifically said that if you hear her close to you, she is far, and that when you hear her far from you, she's actually close. We can assume this is the version that's being implied here, seeing as the housekeeping staff guy from earlier specifically made that comment, saying that since Enrique heard her close to him, she's not close yet. Oh, and in all of these stories, it's also said that if you encounter La Llorona, you're pretty much dead. Like, there's a very limited counterplay beyond the obvious religious artifacts and protection rituals. They could go about it like in the protagonists in Countdown with the salt circle, or they could look up some Mayan protection rituals, since that's the origin story here. There's even Mayan shamans that would be able to help them perform specific cleansing rituals if need be. This all pretty much checks out though. That's why the housekeepers are terrified. They took off, others won't take the job, etc. What I don't understand here is why Valeriana, being aware of this story, while also actively noticing the signs that La Llorona is coming to the house she works in, knowing that there's pretty much no way to protect yourself from her if you encounter her, why is Valeriana not doing anything to protect herself here? At the very least, you could go the extra mile, come prepared with some crucifixes, holy water, and a couple of specific anti-demon prayers memorized from the Bible, assuming that's the one that works here in this movie's universe, alongside the Mayan faith. If not, you could always at least fake an emergency or something, requiring you to temporarily leave. Sure, the family may fire you, but you have a valid reason to assume they might be dead soon. But she pretty much takes zero precaution, in spite of even claiming this place feels haunted. Hope that decision won't come back to bite you in the later. I guess she's still doing something in the realm of religious protection, at least, judging by that fire hazard she's keeping lit overnight. Alma stares at her upside down as she sleeps. Okay, that's just creepy as shit. This girl's 1,000-yard stare and the fact that she's barely saying one word more than she has to would definitely be alarming to me, because like I said before, I have this thing where I just instinctively don't trust people who look like people, but don't actually behave like people.
Es mejor que no salgamos, puede ponerse peligroso.
Family sees the show outside and decides to keep.
Shit, nigga. You got a bunch of people that hate you and Don't go outside. It might be dangerous to be going dangerous, bro. Oh man, that's funny, man.
Hunkered down for now.
¿Oíste, Sara? No vas a tener que ir al colegio.
God, I hate this. Creepy new girl just stares at them, holding a frog, seemingly ignoring all the school shooter vibes Alma's giving off left and right. It works like a frickin' magnet to get Sarah away from her family. Ah yes, the true secret to successful child abductions, Kermit the Frog. Natalia didn't even freaking notice her daughter slipping away, as the family started getting attacked on all sides of the house with rocks.
Sara.
Natalia can't find Sarah, and everyone immediately jumps to conclusions, but fear not. It's just Alma teaching Sarah how to hold her breath underwater. Yeah, because that's normal. I mean, seriously, who the hell does that on their first day at work? Moreover, who is that nonchalant about this happening to the...
Oh, that's yo, bro. I don't know what that lady's doing right here. We should have ran to the husband, fired her ass, get her ass gone. Something's already off about her, and we continue to let her live in this house. Nah, man, I need to get her ass gone, bro. You need to get her gone, cause something is very wrong with that woman. I'm not gonna lie to you. Oh, this is dog shit. Wow.
Their child. Natalia doesn't even bother asking literally any questions. I mean, if I had an employee who on their first day lures my kid away and tries to teach her how to hold her breath underwater, I'm calling the police. And Chris Hansen.
Mamá me contó que en el pueblo donde vivía había mucha agua.
Right. Nothing to read into there.
Tiene 2 hijos.
¿Con quién los dejará mientras trabaja aquí?
Ya se murieron.
Okay, what the f... Natalia literally doesn't question this at all. Like, what? In that tiny amount of time that you were looking for your daughter, the new employee on their first day baited your daughter from right out under your nose, told the kid about her 2 dead kids, that there's a lot of water where she's from, and was trying to teach your kid how to breathe underwater. Am I seriously the only person around here who thinks that's just super disturbing when all added up? I'm not even talking about supernatural entities. I'm just talking straight up basic child protection here. I guess in Natalia's family, this is probably the least messed up thing she's heard in a while though. Speaking of war criminals, Enrique goes for another nightly stroll. It doesn't look like anyone really notices or gives a shit though. He locks eyes with Alma, who's using the pool late at night without a bathing suit, before walking into the house again, still dripping from the pool. I don't care what you're used to, okay? That is not how a normal person acts. This woman is doing this on the first night in your service. How is this not setting off like a million red flags in your head?
Yes, curiosity, man. Curiosity will do that to you, man. You will literally, depending on who you are, you will forget. You will forget everything. It's like reasoning when it says shit like that will just go past, bypass you. You will forget everything. You only remember in that when something happens to you in that 1 second, and you're in that 1 second, you're already gone. Not gonna lie to you.
I guess genocidal tendencies are not linked to intelligence, because this dumbass just follows her into their private room, which now looks like the bottom of a pool, before creeping on Alma while she changes out of her wet clothes. Maybe this is how the real guy got his heart attack. Alma notices the old creeper and doesn't do anything to stop him until he snaps out of his trance. We hear Alma screaming that she's being harassed, and suddenly everyone, including the man's granddaughter, is watching old Iglesias pitch a tent.
Que siempre le ha encantado perseguir a las mujeres, sobre todo a las indias.
Ah, now I get it. Enrique was simping for a Mayan beauty all along, and just couldn't take the rejection. In all seriousness, the fact that Karen knows this lends some actual credibility to all the awful he's accused of, meaning she's literal human garbage for standing by this piece of
Enrique, todas las mujeres lo vuelven loco.
So, why are you defending him? Literally nobody would blame you for turning on a guy who literally tried to wipe out a race, whose natives he actually has a kink for, no less.
Mi abuelito le hizo algo a Alma.
Ah, yes, a great example to set for your child as well. Good thing this isn't Nerd Explains Parenting, or we could be here all night talking about everything that's wrong with this.
Alma, te quería pedir disculpas en nombre de mi papá.
Natalia tries to apologize to Alma for her father's thirst,
A partir de mañana ya no vas a usar el uniforme, queda muy ceñido.
but not before Karen here can combine it with some good old
El uniforme queda muy ceñido.
I was gonna say, but I thought she something else, man. I was gonna say like something about look too grown, Enrique. What in the R. Kelly? What the fuck wrong with this dude? Like, you know what I'm saying? But never mind.
But not before Karen here can combine it with some good old victim blaming to offset the fact she can't keep her husband's python in his cage. Poor Alma.
Yo, bro.
Natalia makes sure Enrique's all good, as she is a doctor, but concludes other than some bronchial damage from his chain smoking, he's fine. She tells him to apologize to Alma, lest she report him for indecent behavior. Yeah, I think with the guy being 1 foot in the grave, and the fact that he's already got literal genocide on his rap sheet, he probably doesn't give a Meanwhile, the mob outside is just growing louder, chanting in unison, making themselves heard.
Papá haya aparecido aquí un día con la valeriana. Y esos actos no son propios de tu papá. Seguramente la valeriana es tu medio hermana.
We learn, while the family is trying to get their mind off the increasingly more volatile protest happening just mere feet away from them, that their head housekeeper, Valeriana, is also most likely Natalia's half-sister, further proving Enrique's Mayan fever. Why Karen is even on his side in spite of all of this, I literally have no idea.
¿Tú cómo conociste a Valeriana?
Natalia tries asking her father straight up about the housekeeper, but he just lies to her. Who would have expected that? Even well into the night, the protesting outside doesn't stop. The crowd plays Mayan music, which Sarah...
I'm sorry, but if you don't turn that shit off so I can go to sleep, bro. I'm literally looking at the background, bro. I know some of y'all damn near like this. Come on, bro. Give it up, man. We'll run that shit back up in the morning.
The crowd plays Mayan music, which Sarah even calls beautiful. I've gotta say, that is a great way to psyop the guy who tried to take them out. Karen is transported into a dream, suddenly experiencing panic and distress, attempting to keep 2 small children safe from an unknown threat, while they hear whistling all around them. They take shelter in a nearby hut as the nearby whistling, which is now clear to be soldiers, draw near. Before Karen snaps out of the nightmare, only to hear the same whistling in the real world all around her, as she's completely covered in sweat, as well as having wet the bed. It's clear she's beginning to have doubts about her husband's past and reacting quite heavily to the events currently unfolding all around her. Can't say I blame her. Her attitude towards the situation has clearly changed quite drastically in the last 24 hours. I'd say leaving the old man to fend for himself and Karen, Natalia, and Sarah taking off altogether would be a great play here, though I know that they won't leave him, being family and all that.
No puede ser.
After some more weird breath-holding practice, which ended with Alma having to actually save Sarah, because that's the kind of stuff we all trust practically strangers to do with our young kids, right? Sarah notices one of the people from the victim flyers that have been thrown attached to rocks into their house earlier is actually right there in the crowd. Alma claims it can't be, or can it? Natalia notices the guy, death staring at her just like Alma did at Enrique earlier. You guys have an incredible tolerance for red flags. Holy hell. At this point, you're either certainly dealing with something supernatural or people who were named targets of your—
My fucking like laptop has fallen so many times. I'm surprised this shit even like, even not even that time, this fucking camera's fallen to me. I'm sorry this shit even like functions properly. Thank God.
fathers are standing in the crowd of protesters, which, even under normal circumstances, is very alarming for anyone with even an ounce of a functioning brain. How are you all so chill?
La etapa del anticomunismo.
¿Usted sabe algo sobre el papá de Sara? ¿Le parece raro que desapareciera así?
While the protesters keep up with the Lord's work, we notice Natalia is also growing increasingly more skeptical of her father's past, as she explains that her late husband, Sarah's father, also went mysteriously missing. Earlier in the movie, we also learned that Enrique did not like this guy due to differences, probably meaning Natalia's late husband disliked his father-in-law being a war criminal. So wait, you didn't even question it when your husband, who had beef with your father, the suspected war criminal who committed unspeakable acts of genocide, went missing. Not once did you consider that there might be an ounce of truth to the stories, that your father had him whacked. How the hell are you a doctor? Did you buy your medical license? Latona, the bodyguard, basically tells her that any info about that is above his pay grade, and that it's best for them both to not ask too many questions about it. That's all totally normal to Natalia, apparently. While Sarah and Alma are having a nice time playing checkers, Karen argues with her husband and eventually delivers a nasty pimp slap that leaves a decent mark. Again, I can't say I blame her, but it's never really explained what caused this.
Ven y siéntate.
Alma and Natalia sit down to talk and exchange stories about their late husbands. Alma shares that she doesn't know where her husband is, but that he didn't leave her before excusing herself. Somehow, Natalia doesn't pick up on this, as this also implies that he was likely taken away from her by Enrique's men. That night, Karen wakes after another vivid nightmare where she's terrorized by the same soldiers, pretty much continuing where the last stream left off. She's clearly traumatized by the experiences and starts to see reality for what it truly is.
Shitfist.
Karen, you know what Enrique is. You've got more reasons than ever before to believe these allegations. In addition, the man is totally powerless now, and you can get security without his assistance fairly easily. You have literally every reason on planet Earth to get away from him with your loved ones ASAP. You can even act along and say it's for safety and that you're still his boo if you truly need to. But literally everything is starting to seem like a better plan than just waiting for this to inevitably blow up in your face.
Get me in.
As Alma and Sarah are bonding some more, Enrique discovers a shitload of moisture damage behind his bed, suspecting this is what's making him sick to his lungs recently. Maybe Maybe. Or, to state the obvious, there's something strange going on here. Is it at this point really not obvious yet that Alma isn't who she says she is? She's been behaving bizarrely. Her story seems to have some serious correlations with those of the natives that were wiped out. She's super cryptic about what happened to her husband and children. She seems clearly obsessed with water in various forms, and Enrique saw her room transport into a pool-like scene after following her in there from the pool. Not to mention, she keeps practicing breathing underwater with your kid, which is so strange, yet nobody questions Sarah on why the hell this is. As we see later, this would save us so much grief. Dude, Alma is clearly some kind of bad news. Now we, the viewer, with our checklist of references that we would have made based on our earlier questioning of the housekeeping staff, would already have established that she's either associated with or is La Llorona.
Primero tenemos que limpiarte a vos.
Valeriana, on the other hand, only comes to the conclusion.
Weird, bro. If you ever watch a lot of movies, how the fucking spirits come out in broad daylight, bro? They usually come out at night, shit like that, or like in dark places. How the hell are you coming out in broad daylight? If she is La Llorona, that would make no sense. Like, dead ass. How are you coming out in broad daylight? That doesn't make any fucking sense to me, bro, at all. Like, I'd be like, I wouldn't be scared, but it'd be like, I've always seen it in movies, bro. The demons, monsters, or whatever the fuck, some of them tend to come out in broad daylight, and it's like, how? That shit's crazy to me.
Conclusion that he's been cursed. Well, you're not completely wrong. I am, however, surprised that given she is a native, she is missing the obvious signs here that this isn't just any curse. Not to mention, if she is truly such a lifesaver to Karen, implying that they do talk about personal stuff, how come she isn't hearing about Karen's super vivid and specific dreams? The entire crowd is now staring dead silent at the family on their balcony, ominously. Alma and Valeriana are cleaning up the mold behind Enrique's bed when Valeriana confronts Alma about the fact nobody in their hometown seems to know her, when she says she's from the deepest part of the mountain, near the river, where the military encampment was, and that she lived there until the killings began, and that she cannot remember how old she is. Valeriana doesn't.
Oh, you better dip now, bro. See that? She has no memory of who she is. Her husband. Bro, there's a lot of red flags with this one, bro. Random, quiet, odd behavior. Memory is not there. Brother, I don't know who the fuck this is. Get the fuck out of my crib. Because you know what I'm saying? Because he's like, something's off.
Doesn't even flinch.
How long have you been 17?
Are you f***ing kidding me, dude? I cannot seriously be the only person who would find this the weirdest ever and realize Alma is not a normal person. Latona awakens in the night. He's immediately on high alert. We see him with his peace drawn, creeping around at night while Sarah is also walking around at night alone. This is just a recipe for disaster. The family should realistically have more guards, and considering how dire things are outside and how quickly things could escalate, nobody should be going anywhere alone here. Sarah steals an oxygen tank from Enrique. Yeah, sure dude, not like the guy needs it to breathe or anything. Then again, he is a literal monster. Maybe she's just doing the world a favor. Latona runs into two kids and is way too calm about this. This is exactly like the husband in Dawn of the Dead. Apparently, Latona left his tactical instincts at home, or he's in a similar kind of trance as Enrique was earlier, as the kids take him off to Neverland. Ironic, feels like that usually goes the other way around. Enrique wakes up and notices he's missing the oxygen tank he needs to, well, live, considering his habits. Near the pool, Sarah does some nighttime underwater breathing practice with the oxygen tank by herself. At the very least, it wakes up her mom, who naturally starts looking for her. But still, this is some seriously dumb decision making from Sarah. Mr. War Crimes approaches the pool with his gun drawn and sees a vision of Alma in the water, taunting him. For sake, who the hell left this guy a gun? I thought we went over this right at the beginning. No guns for the demented old man.
No, Enrique, no!
That's what you get. Sarah takes a round to the arm, luckily missing anything vital, while Enrique rambles on about "my pool speaking Mayonnaise" like a lunatic. Natalia does the smart thing, disarms him, and gets to work on treating Sarah's wound. I also like how during this encounter, everyone seems to forget Latano, their bodyguard, except Enrique. Nobody finds it suspicious that their bodyguard doesn't show up when called either. They sedate Enrique, which I agree is a good move. Even though we understand there's something more going on now, Enrique's too impulsive. He literally just got tricked into popping his own granddaughter. Suddenly, there's a ton of frogs all over their deck. I'm talking biblical swarm proportions, as well as some good old ghost children. Just in time for Alma to finally make the obvious reveal, and Sarah's family to only now, right at the end of this story, finally ask some questions about the weird their brand new employee has been doing with their child. They find out that this is the reason she's been doing all that underwater breathing practice, as Alma told her not to drown. Run. I mean, literally run. Now. You all know La Llorona wants Enrique, and only Enrique. Sarah literally just confirmed this, and you've sedated the guy. Literally served on a silver platter as an offering to Alma. Here you go, Alma. Take this old asshole. We all think he deserves to die anyway. Please just don't harm us. We're innocent women too, and this is all over. They all grab candles to do exactly that, since Valeriana actually knows what to do, and gear up as all the protesters outside are now standing right in front of their house, way past the fencing. Just as the movie began, the family now prays again in a circle, this time directed at the old gods of the Mayan faith instead, while the crowd outside grows ever more impatient. They beg for forgiveness regarding their association with the general and basically offer him up in.
I mean, if I were the gods, bro, I'm denying their request because y'all know what bro was doing prior to. So, as the good book, suffer. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, suffer. Because like, if you know it's someone by association, not even by association, the fact that you knew what he was doing, you could associate yourself with him, bro. Nah, man.
Instead, begging to be spared, as Sarah suddenly struggles to breathe and Karen goes into a trance again. This time, we see her being led past all the corpses, forced to watch as her children are brutally drowned, and Enrique himself personally executes her, before Karen looks down and sees Alma's dead body, coming full circle and realizing just how truly despicable her husband actually was. In her hallucination, Karen brutally strangles her husband for everything he's done, as well as in real life. Her whole family looks on and does absolutely nothing to stop her. Good riddance. Fuck that guy. If anything, they made it too easy on him, getting strangled while under sedation and all. I sincerely hope La Llorona tortured the actual guy for at least another full century in hell. We cut to Enrique's funeral, with a bunch of mourners offering their condolences to the family, who appear to indeed all have been spared their gruesome fates in exchange for Enrique. One of Enrique's top lieutenants makes his way to the bathroom during the service, only he suddenly realizes the bathroom's now entirely flooded, and guess who's back for more? The movie ends. Of our original protagonists, only Latona and Enrique ultimately wound up getting got, which I'd argue is totally fair. Latona might have been able to avoid his untimely demise had he immediately recognized the danger in seeing the two little kids and booked it. Even then, I think he'd still have been hunted down just for being one of Enrique's men. It appears as though the rest of the family was on the chopping block as well, and would have ended up dying just like Enrique had they not come to correct the conclusion realization about who he really is, which I believe means their actions toward the end were what ultimately saved them. For that reason, I think La Llorona was beaten. Moral of the story: always sell out dictators to demons if presented with the opportunity.
Agreed. That'd be VID, man. That explains.